Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Autocar Vodcast with Pryor here.
And
James Disdale there. Hello, mate.
Hello, how are you?
Very well. Because I'm in a Morgan plus 4.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, we are. I don't know why I questioned that. I'm in it as well.
As if it's a surprise to you.
Yeah,
What are you've driven it a bit, haven't you?
I've had a little go in it, yes.
You've had to go down the road and back. I didn't move the seat. Maybe I should have done. I'm quite
Are you in
scrunched up.
Yeah, you're in my driving
Have
position.
you got a scrunchier rally Didier Auriel?
Yeah, it's very much, in
Driving.
fact, it's Francois Delacour in my
Of course
mind,
it is, yeah.
who is, he's very hunched if you watch on board of him.
Yeah. I've settled into a little poodle in this, mate.
Have you?
Yeah.
I think it's that kind of car.
It's that kind of car, isn't it? How quick is it? It's quite brisk.
It is quite brisk. So according to the official stats,
Yes.
it's 0 to 60, so this is the manual. You can get an 8-speed auto, which... Oh, my glove box is open. There we go. Which I've struggled to come to terms with a bit with a Morgan, an 8-speed auto.
Yes.
But I suppose if you're in a position where you wouldn't be able to drive a Morgan otherwise and you'd love to drive one,
Yeah.
it's just opened up Morgan motoring for you. So.
Yeah. I mean, Toyota GI Yaris is the same. I always think that should be a manual. And they're like, well, there are some people who cannot or will not drive a Yaris with a manual. So we now do an auto. I get it.
More power to
It's
them.
not for me, but fine.
But this is the manual. We've got BMW engine, isn't it? It's the 4-cylinder 2-litre.
It's a 4-cylinder 2-litre, isn't it? From the Cooper.
S. The Mini Cooper John Cooper Works.
Yeah.
And I imagine a 1 Series.
Oh, yes.
The one, what is it?
Good question.
The 128 Ti?
That's the one.
I think it's that one. So it's 250 horsepower, 255 horsepower.
Yeah.
They're just over 1,000 kilos. They reckon 5.2 to 60. So, frankly, as fast as you're
It's
probably...
pretty brisk, isn't it?
ever need to
5.2
go.
is a fast car.
And it'll
By
do.
any stretch.
They claim it'll do 39 to the gallon as well.
Really?
Which is quite clever.
Well, Jack, our photographer, who had to bring it up here, he said it was getting on a motorway. He did say it was doing 40 plus, I think, something like that. Which is pretty. I think it's pretty. Well, this is not the world's most aerodynamically efficient car, is it? But
No.
it does have quite a small frontal area, which must be useful.
And it obviously doesn't weigh very much.
Doesn't weigh very much.
Which,
And it's very long geared, isn't it? Because that's 4th gear at 40 miles an hour, and it's only doing 1,500 revs. So in 6th,
yes,
it's barely taking it 40. It's 1,000 RPM in 6th.
40 per thou. That's
40
quite
per
high.
thou. That is a
very
leggy
high.
geared. But nicely, it's got a lot of torque.
It's quite a lot of flywheel effect, I've noticed.
Yeah, it takes a little while to warm up, doesn't it? But then it gets going. So it's a bit confusing's the wrong word, right? But there was a +4 not long ago
Right.
that was new, and now it has been revised already,
Yeah.
and that's this.
Right.
And this has got. Has this got the drive? Is it a driver's pack? This one has got
sports pack.
Sports pack.
Package, which comprises of adjustable nitron dampers, sport springs, and a rear anti-roll bar.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And we also get a button down there which you open up your sporty exhaust and makes it sportier.
A bit rortier.
Yeah.
Rortier and sportier. That S+ button, is that?
That's the one. Press and hold, I think.
All right, okay. It's not done anything yet.
Maybe.
Maybe it's not doing anything. Anyway. Cool.
And that is yours for £4,000, a whisker under £4,000.
Okay.
And I've got to say, I mean, it's been a while since I've driven a non-three-wheeled Morgan.
Yeah.
And we're on this stretch of road again, which is...
Really, we did the last Ford here, didn't we? The i5 Touring.
Yes.
It's a really challenging stretch of road with mid-corner bumps, stuff like that. It's what we've had foreign engineers here when they say, how do you test cars because you tested our and you didn't think it was all that. Where do you go? So we bring them here sometimes and go, well, drive down this stretch of road, and there's a big crown in the middle, so you're always fighting that. And then because there's hedgerows and trees on one side, you get massive inputs on one side that you don't necessarily get in the other, and it's all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And because our weather is a bit iffy, it sort of breaks up the surfaces in winter when ice goes in, then thaws, and that breaks up the surface as well. So it's got everything going on. And I reckon if you develop a car, there's a farm along this stretch of road that was for sale a couple of years ago. And I was thinking, if I if I ran a vehicle dynamics thing, I'd just set up in the barn and just do dynamics tuning up and down this road all day. I reckon if you set,
I think it was that farm there.
I reckon if you set a car up for this road, it would be really good in most of the places you'd ever take it.
100%. And like you say, those engineers, the look on their face,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, right.
They go, are all your roads like this? You go, yeah, quite a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And this, I think, there's quite a lot of movement.
There is quite a lot of movement.
But
I'm
it's
enjoying it.
Yeah, it's not uncomfortable.
No, it's
And
not crashy in any stretch, is it?
And I tell you, I'm not feeling, as I say, it's been a long time since I've driven a non-three-wheeled Morgan.
Yeah.
And this feels nice and stiff, this structure. I always remember them being quite...
Yeah,
wobbly.
I've got the old shaky cam wobbling around in the background, so it's difficult for me to see. But because you sometimes get the impression that you look in the mirror, you can see a mirror shimmy if a body is not totally stiff. This feels pretty stiff to me.
I mean, they were always meant to be sports cars, Morgans,
Yeah.
weren't they? But they really turned into a certain type of gentleman, and it was a gentleman, would buy them. And I'm thinking flying jackets, bit of moustache,
Yeah.
and you felt
You
they
would
were-
age into one, don't you think?
I think you
you
do.
would get to an age where you would
Yeah.
buy one.
and they're used for Sunday drives.
Yeah,
Whereas which is fine, absolutely. Whereas this does feel a bit more like a sharp tool you can actually drive.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we ran a Morgan versus Caterham versus Ariel Atom for group test, and we took them to a track day plus a Welsh mountain B road. I'm not sure that the Morgan would be in its total element, but it would be a lot better than a Morgan of 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Oh yes. So my go-to with the Morgan is, do you remember they went to the metal chassis effectively? So
Yes.
the Aero 8, and then they
Yeah.
was it the Plus 8, the first one that tried to look like an older
It did, but it still had like the aero
underpinnings.
yeah.
And we had that at another magazine.
A different magazine you occasionally used to work for.
Yes.
I'm contractually obliged to pretend they don't exist.
Exactly. Well,
Obviously.
we'll cross over that bit.
Yeah.
But we had our annual performance car test at Anglesey, and I was doing some cornering, some silly cornering for the cameraman.
Oh yeah.
And every time it went sideways and you got the opposite lock on, there was enough chassis twist that it effectively locked the steering. So you almost tried to spit you off the other way, and you had to get the load out of the chassis again to get the steering. So
Wow.
it wasn't a particularly
No.
excellent
They've-
vehicle.
They have felt to me in the past a bit effectively like a classic car that you buy new.
Yeah.
And I think that was true, certainly of the first three-wheeler, because the chassis twisted enough that the exhaust would rub against the bodywork. And of course the engine was very throbby as well. And then we had a bit of an issue on our performance car test where one of the front wishbones broke, and they offered a free upgrade to owners.
Broke whilst in the midst of going around a corner.
In the middle of a corner, yeah.
Who was driving?
A guest engineer
Okay.
who got a bit of a start.
He did.
He did. He was a bit shaken up, but it was. It didn't go over, but it was.
I imagine it wasn't very pleasant.
He did have and he had a full face helmet, which is something we do as in open top cars on track is advisable.
Definitely.
And in fact, a lot of tracks insist on it these days. Quite rightly. Well,
I mean, he could have chosen any side of the road. His own side would have been the best.
it would have been better, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing about this car is it's not so wide that I didn't have options.
Yeah.
I had a couple of, but we're not so close. I don't think we're Caterham close, are we?
Absolutely
Elbow
not.
wise. Maybe we're not as spaced as in an Ariel Atom, but I think we're.
So that theoretical group test you were talking about,
Yeah.
it wouldn't win for pure driver entertainment,
No.
but it's the one I'd want to drive that mythical journey down to the south of France.
Yeah.
I'd quite happily do that in this.
Actually, I would. I'd really like that. Actually.
I don't know whether it's the nitron dampers. I'd be intrigued to try one without.
Yeah, I would.
But it feels all of a piece. Surprisingly so.
Yeah, I'm having driven a couple of I haven't driven a plus 4 like you for a while, but this feels much more. Something about it, isn't it? Do you know, a really good damper has just got that softness to round off all the bumps, and yet the body stays pretty flat.
Yeah.
I think this has got, this is.
It's firm, but it's not uncomfortable.
No,
That's
not at all.
As you say, that's the sign of a really well-engineered damper.
Yeah. I could, if we were not yakking, I could go a lot faster down this bit of road and be quite into it, I reckon. How much is it?
It is,
Yeah.
without... If you walk into your Morgan dealer
Yeah.
and say, can I have that one? I don't want to put anything on it. It's
Yeah.
74,400 and something, I think.
Okay. Totally base.
Totally base.
Base.
And this one is about 90-something thousand.
It's quite a lot.
It is quite a lot.
It is quite a lot. However, there are some things I think probably worth noting. One of which is that they don't depreciate a lot. I don't know if they depreciate more than a Caterham or an Aerial. Maybe.
I think they probably
Not a
do,
lot.
because they certainly, compared to most Caterhams, they start at a higher point, so they drop a bit, but then they don't
Turn around, I think.
go off a cliff.
No. No. The thing is, you can turn around, and normally somebody, if I was doing that in a BMW, somebody would coming past would go, "Oh, what are you doing, you?" Actually, they see a Morgan turn around and they go, "Oh, that's nice."
And
I
it is-
drove an electric Moke the other day.
Okay, yes.
Did we talk about this before?
We have. I think we've chatted about this in a.
We've
a
not
more
talked
social-
about it on the VOD.
No,
We've not talked about it.
no.
Everybody was unbelievably lovely about it all the time. Because everybody knows what a Moke is, regardless of age. They seem to go, "Oh, Moke," and everybody seems to know what one is, which I don't know if I expected or not, because they stopped making the original in the 90s, and they weren't exactly massive sellers at that point. And they haven't been on contemporary films or anything. I mean, in the 60s, 70s, they were in films quite a lot, but I don't think they've been in popular culture for quite a long time. But everybody seemed to know what it is. And I just thought, crikey, if everybody drove one of these, road rage would not exist. Because it would just be... I mean, you wouldn't get very far very quickly, because they do 50 miles at a time. But,
Another example, again, because this is good thing. This is called middle-aged tread. Because I suspect our hopefully loyal listeners are going to go, they're talking about this thing again. Do they not remember they talked about this last time?
go on.
I drove that
Early onset,
light car company Bentley blower,
Oh, yeah. Right.
which was outrageously expensive.
Yep.
And it had a range of even less than a Moke. I think it was 30-something miles.
Yeah.
But I have never driven a car, and we drove it through central London, that attracted smiles and waves
Really?
and conversations. It just doesn't happen with certainly modern high-performance premium vehicles.
No, and I don't. Yeah, I think that's different. When we were younger, like you would put a Ferrari on the cover of a magazine, it would sell very well, and people would see a Lamborghini and go, "Whoa, look at that!" And they would be almost everybody would be happy to see one. And I'm not sure that's the case with many high-performance cars these days. I think it probably takes something like this, or a Moke, or an electric lower Bentley, breathe in, to get that sort of reaction out of people.
This is a happy car.
This is a happy car. People are going to love this, aren't they?
I mean, we've had people comment on it even while we've been
We've been
Parked up.
doing statics.
doing stuff.
Yeah.
And it just, what I like about it is it feels like a car you can live with. I'm not sure I ever got Bentley in the Morgan in the past,
Yeah.
but with this, it's kind of when you said it felt like a classic car or a vintage car, just new back in the day. Whereas this feels like it's
like
got,
a car.
It's got all the right elements that make it a classic car, but they've modernised all the stuff that you want to use. It's got air conditioning, which, some
Yes.
people go, ooh, get you fancy with your air conditioning.
Yeah, but it's nice.
I'll
isn't it?
take that.
Why wouldn't you?
Good dials, lovely, nice wood trim.
Yeah, beautifully trimmed, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
and let's face. And also, this is a good point. If you are in the UK, or if you are going to visit the UK, do you feel a bit vulnerable sometimes, don't you? Do you know what I
only
mean?
occasionally.
The Morgan factory in Malvern, I think they have something like 30,000 people turn up a year. I mean, some just go to the cafe, but they also do factory tours. Pretty much, I want to say every day, but quite a lot. And you pay, I don't know how much it is, 30 quid, something like that.
Right.
But basically, I think they get something like £1 million a year from people who turn up and want to see the factory. And it is lovely, the fact that you can go and see these things being made, and somebody will show you around and walk around. And it's a nice place to do that. I've been in some car factories that you would not really want to visit, and actually the manufacturer doesn't really want to show you because they're dark and dingy, and most of the workers are being replaced by robots, and they're always eyeing out new ways to replace more workers by robots.
Yeah, well,
But
they cost money, those lumps of meat.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, how dare they?
But given they only sell, 400 to 600 cars a year, I think I read, that's quite impressive.
Yeah.
That people still hold, Morgan so dear to their heart.
Yeah,
If
indeed.
They have no intention of buying one.
Yeah, I'm driving sort of slower and slower because I don't want to stop. Do you know what I mean? We're heading back, and I'm just like, I just want
But
to
you're
keep.
still enjoying it, aren't you?
I love it, mate. I'm really enjoying this. I am really taken with this. I'm not going to say more than I expected, because I expected to like it, but I am very taken with it.
I genuinely, when I turned out the car park and headed down the road, I had a bit of a moment. I wasn't expecting to be as sophisticated
Yeah.
as it was, and there will be those that argue it should be a bit bouncy.
It should
and
be. Well,
hard work, and it's it's a Morgan then.
I
But-
see what you mean. As in, they think it shouldn't be too sophisticated.
Yeah, but if you can do it, and you can do it in a way
Well-
that still embodies the character of the car, which is
Yeah.
very much feels like it does, then why wouldn't you? I mean, it's as you say, those family generations getting in their vintage sports cars and going. So there is a younger generation, thankfully, coming through who enjoy these sorts of pursuits.
Yes.
But they might like to drive like a modern car as well.
Yeah. As we speak, although not as you view this, reader, there was a show down the road from me called Roll Hard,
Okay.
which is quite a lot of lowered stanced cars and stuff
Right.
like that, but
Yeah.
they're probably, a lot of the cars are sort of 20 to 30 years old, and a lot of the owners, one, work on them themselves and prep them themselves, and two, are quite young as well. I'm really encouraged by the number of people who still like cars despite all of the obstacles that are occasionally put in the way of enjoying them.
But
And
it's interesting that it's older stuff they're into as well.
Yeah. Well,
A lot of the time.
it's stuff that I suppose is contemporary for us in our youth. But if it was, there was a Renault 5 parked up at the gym I go to, which was going to it. Really nice, right? Red gold wheels, some yellow lights. Really, it's just been finished. It's beautifully done. And so that car is late 80s, early 90s, I would guess, which makes it 35 years old.
Best not to think about it, I find.
Yeah, okay. But if we were 20, 25, and we were looking at 35-year-old cars, that would be what, mid-60s?
Yeah, that would work.
And they would not be as good
No, they would
by
be
any stretch as a sort of 80s, 90s hatchback, which is still pretty good, I reckon, by even today's standards. I mean,
You could
quite good fun and quite capable.
You could drive it anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
They tend to be reliable
Yeah.
on the whole. Comfortable. I'd still be a little less than excited about the thought of crashing one,
Yeah. Well,
but more so than I
Yeah.
would about Hillman Minks.
yeah, would you put a... Have you still got a Golf GTI?
I have. We don't talk about it because it lives
Oh.
under a car cover on our drive, and Mrs. Disdale keeps saying, "Is that going to live there forever, or are we going to do something with that?"
Do your neighbours ever mention it?
it's getting more mentions now because I might also have a Saab 9.5 that's parked next to it, not doing much on the
Really?
drive. Yes, which I need to sort out as well.
Is that a wagon? Or is that saloon?
It is a wagon, yes. When you say do my neighbours mention
Hang on a minute. All right. So, run me through, because you've come in a Mazda MX-5 today.
that's Mrs. Disdale's.
Right. Remind me what else you have.
So I have we have the MX-5,
Yeah.
which is Mrs. Disdale's.
Yeah.
We have a Saab 9.5 Estate,
Yeah.
year 2000, which MOT expired
Right.
because I was planning to replace it, and I still haven't found something that tickles my fancy to replace it.
Okay.
I have the Defender
Yep.
110 PD5,
Very
and
nice.
yeah, a 1989 Mark II Golf GTI,
Oh, right. Okay.
which I've had since 2003.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a keeper.
It's a keeper, and it's sentimental value.
Yeah.
But the longer it stays under that car cover, the less of it I'm going to find when I lift the cover, I suspect.
Yeah. I'm going to turn around.
So when you say the neighbours mention it, what do they mention it as in? Oh,
Well,
look at this
as
place;
in-
it looks like a
Is it,
scrapyard.
well, that was my Is there ever anything like that? You know, does anybody ever go?
Fortunately, not. We do get not as much since I put it under a proper car cover, but you used to once every month or so, someone would knock on the door and wanting to buy it,
Do you want to sell? Do you want to sell that car?
and Julie would go yes, and I'd go well, let's just think about this for a second.
But anyway, what are your hopes and plans with that?
My
with the
hopes
Golf?
and plans. So I sort of made a rash promise to my daughter, who is now 14,
Yeah.
that it would be recommissioned and ready to go for when she passes her driving test.
Oh, cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, and then as I say, I had a peek under the cover the other day and thought that may have been a bit bold.
A bit rash.
Yeah, we'll see. But that would be the idea, because
Yeah.
I picked her up when she was born. I picked her up from the hospital in that car.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is good.
So I've just never been able to get rid of it. It was a car I had before I did this.
Yeah.
It was my daily driver for a long time. So yeah, one day we'll get around to it. I fancied. There was a company called GTI Engineering. I don't really remember it.
Yeah, I know of them.
No, not GTI Engineering, because that was the Dave Brody, Tim Styles Racing. I'm thinking of, and they did like big. They bored it out to like nearly 2 litres, but it kept the 8-valve head.
Right.
So you had a lot more torque. So it's very fast. It's like a fast road conversion. That's what I always wanted to do to it.
Right.
So one day. And how about your? If we're going to talk about that, how about the IM? Where's the IM?
Well, as luck would have it, mate, that is about all we've got time for this week.
Oh, come on!
I'm thinking about selling it. I have a Hillman IM, and I'm not sure what to do with it.
No, I thought you were going to put a.
Yeah, I'll revisit this another time
Okay.
because I'm not sure what to do. But anyway, that is episode 4 of Middle-Aged Trend, which is 2 middle-aged men sitting in a car trying not to complain about creaking bones. And
Yeah,
early
I
onset.
don't think we've complained much. We've really
We've
enjoyed
done all
this.
right. I really like this car.
I
really like this car. You can find us over at themagazineshop.com/autocar. Autocar.co.uk. You can find the magazine on the newsstands every Wednesday. And I am going to try and not ground this Morgan. We'll see how we go. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
Goodbye.